Good morning, afternoon for some on the East Coast. Welcome to the year-end planning for Sage X3. On the slide, I've listed a phone number if you need to join by phone, the webinar ID and passcode if needed. There's a Q&A section that you can ask questions, and we will answer those at the end of the seminar. And I will go ahead and get started. The agenda for today is I'm going to go through a year-end closing checklist, the X3 reports to support year-end general ledger balances, closing last fiscal period and year, financial reporting, other considerations, 1099 generation and reporting, updating default parameters, and then at the end, the Q&A. For the year-end closing checklist, there's quite a few items here. I'm not going to go through the steps for every single one. This is just a general checklist. If you need more information on a particular item or you need help, you could reach out to support and we can help in that specific area. I've listed the function names, which you can search, which will usually bring up that function. And also I've tried to add a pathway here or breadcrumbs to that function. Going over completion of operational and costing transactions, we're going to make sure physical inventory counts are validated. All closed work orders have been costed. All closed subcontracting orders have been costed. A stock account interface has been ran without any errors. If you are getting errors, you can reach out to support and we can assist with those. Usually they're dimension errors of some sort or date issues. We're going to run the WIP accounting interface for any kind of closed work orders that haven't been posted yet. Posting of AP/AR treasury transactions. Make sure our customer shipments have been invoiced. Sales invoices and credit memos have been posted. Purchase invoices and credit memos have been posted. And all our payments have been posted. Financial accounting processes, such as accrual entries and generating their reversals. Generate our recurring entries, run the invoices to receive function, which accrues non-inventory receipts, match our R&I account. This usually needs to be configured in Sage X3, where you can use a method of automatic matching to match your receipts to purchase invoices, which can help you reconcile your R&I account or purchases clearing account. At the end of the month, if you need help setting that up, we can assist you. And you're going to generate multi-currency revaluation and translation entries. Also, enter depreciation entries if you're not using fixed assets. Update any simulation entries to actual or run the cancellation process. And perform revenue recognition on open projects if you're using the project accounting module. In regards to closing your fixed assets, set all fixed asset periods of 2021 to actual, review the status of context for any actions, activate any inactive assets, and calculate depreciation for all assets. Confirm all your journal entries have been posted for fixed assets and perform the close for December and 2021. Just note that periods cannot be reopened and generally fixed assets is closed before the GLR transactions will post the first open general ledger period. Moving on to bank transactions, we want to make sure we've reconciled our bank account and we've closed that reconciliation. During the year-end and period-end closing, You can restrict postings by module. This prevents users from creating entries during the reconciliation processes and closing processes, and so they cannot enter transactions prior to a set date. There's 4 general parameters that can be set up in the areas of purchase invoices, journal entries, BP invoices, payments, open item statements, payment proposals and such, also sales invoices. And you can set these parameters, date parameters, to prevent those entries. You can also use the document types and journal codes in X3 to set opening date ranges or effective date ranges. And that will also prohibit a specific type of journal from being used for postings based on a specified period or time. We recommend closing the stock status for the period while you're getting your year-end and period end closing processes completed. There are options when you go to your period setup of balance adjustment and closed. Closed would be that no stock type transactions can be posted to the general ledger, but you can use the balance adjustment at the end of a year period to enter any kind of adjusting type entries, such as like a purchase invoice that would affect the cost on a purchase receipt, and an adjustment entry will be made. Those entries will be allowed, but no other types of stock transactions would be allowed. I'm going to go over some of the common reports used. If you're in version 12 right now, you have there's a column here of the most common naming conventions for the reports. Prior to that, in version 11 and before, you have a different name of the report. So this is kind of a key here, so you can tell if you're new to version 12 and you're looking for a specific report, they have been renamed. And these are probably the most frequently used. Other reports: trial balance, account detail, account by dimension, dimension by account, journal entry by currency, and we have a journal entry detail. We also have inquiries for account balances, dimensional balances, and entries, which is like a GL detail inquiry. I'm going to move over to a spreadsheet that Ed Hollard had put together last year, which is kind of a neat spreadsheet that will show you multiple tabs here of all the reports that can be used when you're closing the periods, and it's what the parameters would look like and what the resulting report would look like. And all these attachments or Word docs and items that I showed today, you will be able to download and access. And then each tab down here would have a different, so this is a BAL-H HIST report, and we have the aging with currency. And so it's kind of a neat guide when you're running reports that you can look at to see what the outlook would be. And this is a sample of the account balance inquiry and what it would look like, and dimension balance inquiry. Sometimes entering the parameters can be a little confusing, so this would help you out. So I just wanted to share that. For the business partner reports, we have the BAL-H group, which is the basic aging as of today's date. BAL-H HIST, which is a point in time report for aging. And this one can be backdated. So if you need to run your aging as of the end of, say, November, you would want to use the BAL-H HIST report instead of the BAL-H group report. You also have a business partner trial balance and matching, and aging with amounts by currency reports. Bigger. Let's see. Stock valuation report. X3's always offered a stock valuation report. You're probably familiar with it. And this would be ran at the company level to show your stock by site and summary. And if you run it in detail, it would show information like lot, location, status. There were some issues in the past with trying to backdate the stock valuation report. So a lot of the times we would recommend not backdating the report and making sure to run it at the end of the day, at the end of the month. Because of that, if you backdate entries, it can cause discrepancies in the report. Conversion 12, I believe patch 14 was that they came out with a newer way to show a valuation during a point in time. So now you can actually run the report using a reference date. And they have also, by adding new tables and design, they've increased the performance of the report, and they've added an inquiry. So you don't need to run the actual report. You can pull it up and export it to Excel with the inquiry. And you can also recalculate. If it's not looking correct, there's a way to recalculate the quantities and amounts. Going back over to one of the Word documents that I had. Let me go back here. I have like this, a stock valuation report document that I put together just to go through how to run the report, all the general parameter requirements, and some samples of the parameters, and also what the summary versus detail look like. It will show beginning activity and ending balances, and the detail. This is a sample of what the detail will look like. And also it will show you what the new inquiry looks like that you can use, and how to run the stock valuation period resync function if you need to recalculate any amounts. Right. And again, this is what the summary and the detail look like. That's the inquiry. Going on, queries, available queries that you can run, fixed asset listing, and we can help you with a YWIP requester, which we would help build for you. And this helps you reconcile your WIP account with the general ledger by work order. RKL can also assist making dashboards for users with commonly used query tools. These all look like to be graphical query tools. And so when the user has their dashboard, they know exactly which inquiries they can use when running the closing and year-end processes. Next, I'll go through actual closure of period and year. Before closing the year on the periods, you need to run the final validation of journal entries. When a journal entry gets created in X3, it always is created in a temporary status. And once the status is changed to a final status, there's no longer any edits allowed for that journal entry. So you can run the final validation function. It's just a mass update to those journal entries to change them to final. When you're running the final validation, you're going to enter the start and end date. In this screenshot, I used 2022. And then you want to select the option all users. By default, that is not checked. So it's important to have that checked. You can also run a pre-closing report which will show you any kind of situations that will prevent you from closing the period. It's called the Clopper report. And you would run this, you can run it for a specific period or for the whole year. I recommend running this report after you've run the final validation, because all your journal entries will show up on the report as temporary. So I would run this after, and this will show anything that hasn't been posted. Going into the period closure, you'll go into the, there is a period closing function available, and you can also close the period from the actual period setup. And when we're closing the period, you would just check off the period that you need to close, and you can do multiple at one time. And also here, we want to make sure if we're closing the 12th period and ready to close the year, we're going to make sure that 2023 year and period have been created and they're open. After you've closed your 12th period or the last period of your year, you want to proceed to close the whole year. These are some prerequisites we recommend. All users to log out of X3. Some versions of X3 will actually check to see if all the users are out. Some versions don't check to see if all the users are out. We recommend it because it prevents users from doing anything that might change your financials during the closing process. So it's just, it's a good thing to have the users out at the time you're doing this. It doesn't take too long. And also, if you can turn off or shut down your accounting tasks when you're closing the year, this will also prevent any kind of activity that might affect your financials. During the closing of the year, you're going to be creating document types for the closing entries. NEWPR is the journal code and document type used. You'll need to make sure, if you want to make sure that these are defined, you can go to the setup general parameters and make sure that those parameters I've listed there, the GTEs have been set up with the new PR. Also, on your chart of accounts setup, you want to make sure that the miscellaneous accounts have your retained earnings account set up there. If you're using any currency transactions, this is also where you would define your realized gain loss accounts. When you're closing the year, there will be journal entries created. These will close out P&L accounts to your retained earnings and also establish the opening balances. If you're not ready to close out the year, you can run a year-end simulation function. This is for reporting purposes, and it will allow, for example, our opening balances for 2023 to show when we run any kind of trial balance report. It'll push those balances forward just for reporting. It doesn't post anything. So you can run that. And if you close the year, the periods, and you've decided that you need to reopen them, or there's some sort of entry that you need to make, X3 is very forgiving and will allow you to reopen the year and reopen the period to make those adjustments. And you can close again when you're ready. I have a little screenshot here down below, but when you're closing the fiscal year end, you want to make sure you put in the company. All ledgers is going to say no. You want to do one ledger at a time. And as you tab through the fields, you'll see the default NEWPR from your general parameters. Those will populate in these fields and used for the posting of your closing entries. Into financial reporting. You can also utilize SEI or the financial data extractor, which is FDE. to run financial reports and check your balances at the end of the year. If you need help setting these up, we can assist you. Other considerations. For budgets, new budget codes can be created or 2023 balances can be imported to existing budget codes. Operational budgets, carryover budgets should be calculated if necessary. And in regards to standard costs, the system is going to use the current standard costs until your 2023 standards are created. You can copy your current raw material standard costs to simulated costs, update raw material simulated standard costs, perform a 2023 bill of material cost roll-up on finished goods simulated costs, and copy 2023 simulated costs to 2023 standard costs. If you need help with your standard costs for 2023, we help with imports of the new standard costs, and we can help with the process if you have a lot of items. Okay, now I'm going to go into 1099 generation and reporting. For 2022, I've noted here the changes for the reports. The new NEC form that was introduced last year, or the year before, I believe, does not have any updates to it. But there have been updates to the DIV and MISC reports. And Sage usually releases an update. We're getting pretty close. It should be any week now for version 12, and they're doing patch 20 and above. So if you're on a version prior to version 12 patch 20, we can assist with helping get these updates installed on your system. But this year, it's just version 12, patch 20 and above. If you do meet that range, a large range of clients probably are going to need a little bit of help with any kind of updates. We have created a link here in this PowerPoint presentation that you can sign up for us to assist. So we're going to keep track of, I can't click on it right, but like we can keep track of all of the requests, and then a consultant will be assigned to your request and we will follow up with you. All right, I have included a document that's in much more detail for 1099 processing. This is kind of just a very, very summarize steps here, but real quick, I want to show the other document I included right here. It's called the How to Set Up 1099 Processing in version 12. This is pretty much everything you need to know about processing 1099s in Sage X3. It hasn't changed much over the years for the versions. So if you're on older version, it's going to probably apply to you too. And I walk through all the setups, setting up your suppliers, the invoices for tracking 1099 information, 1099 boxes, everything you need to know. And also how to extract the data for 1099s, and also printing 1099s. So it's a pretty thorough document, and I'll include that in this seminar as well. Forms need to be purchased for 1099s, and version 12 doesn't currently allow for the filing with the IRS through X3, but maybe we'll see that in the future. Setting up default parameters. So for commonly used reports and inquiries, when you run them, you'll see that a default date is commonly defaulted into the parameters. This is a way that you can change the new defaults to 2023. It's in the setup general parameters, the parameter values, and you can see here the defaults start and end dates. You can set this at the folder company or user level. All right, now we have the Q&A time. So Sophia or Kaylee, do you want to?
I don't think we have any questions for right now. Feel free to put any questions in the Q&A feature below.
Okay, great. Some information in regards to the X3 customer account managers here at RKL. We have Gia and Mike. This is their information and their contact emails and phone numbers. Go ahead and.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia. I am on the marketing team here at RKL eSolutions, and I just wanted to go over some year-end deals and reminders from our marketplace partners. So Flowcast, for anybody who doesn't know, is the leading provider of accounting workflow automation, specifically close management. And you can see this kind of a reminder about their services, so they can help to reduce time to close by 26% and increase the accuracy of close data by 39%. Lease Query is a CPA built and approved lease accounting software that ensures compliance with ASC 842, IFRS 16, and many more. They are offering 50% off implementation if you schedule a demo and sign up before the end of the year. And Avalara helps businesses of all sizes get tax compliance right. They deliver cloud-based compliance solutions for various transaction taxes. And they are offering their sales tax risk assessment for free now through December 31st. And once you receive the slides after this presentation, you can click on the link there to find out more about that. But you can also ask your RKL representative for any more information on any of these year-end promotions. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, that's the end of this presentation. I wish all of you a happy holiday. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the support team, support@rklesolutions.com. We'd be more than happy to assist. Have a great day.
Thank you.